Hi, welcome to the Small Barn Workshop. This is my Evolution R255 Table Saw that I've used for the last few years when renovating my house in southwest France. And this is Evolution's brand new R255 saw, a very much anticipated upgrade to the R255. Evolution sent me this saw yesterday for my first impressions, so let's go straight into the workshop and scrutinise this saw. So if I open this upside down, so straight away I can see this is much different from the R255 in the way that the fairings work. So let's take out the other bits and pieces. So I've got the whatever that is. So just point out, because Evolution is sending me this early, this box is not their final box the saw will go out on sale in. It's just a standard cardboard box of what I assume is the right dimensions. Yeah, I've got the saw upside down, but never mind. So let's lift it out. I've got an handle here. There's nothing else in the box, so we can adios the box. So there's a couple of pieces of packing to come out, and that's it. Now, one thing I'm noticing straight away with this saw is all the tools, the guards, the spanners are all mounted to the body, and unlike the R255 saw, there is no huge plastic fairing around all four sides, which I think is great, because actually the fairings never seem to do anything. The fairings on the R255 are all kind of precast for storage of something, but the things that come with it don't actually fit it, which has always been a bit of a bugbear of mine. I'll let you have a look at the underside of it before I turn it the other way up. So we've got some adjustment here. We've got rack and pinion joints there for higher, lower. We've got mechanisms here for something. We've got a lever there. We've got an handle here. We've got the electronic module there. And we've got rack and pinion there. We've got the crown guard, which is a much better crown guard than what's on the R255 there, with the riving knife fixed to the back of it. And then we've got the cable all tied up here. Euro plug for me. That's the upside down version of the front. Let's turn it the right way around. Now let's stand on this little box. It will just... Right, I just need to be careful a minute. That's quite a big unit. Straight away, I can see a project coming on here for a saw stand. That actually looks a beast of a saw sat there. Cosmetically, I like the way it looks. I like what they've done there with the start-stop. That's better than what was on the R255. So this is the R255 TBLX. There's actually 4 different models in the range of this new saw, and I'll go through them with you in a little bit. They all have slightly different features, but let's have a look at what this one does first. We've got a start-stop button, we've got our blade higher-in and lower-in, we've got the fence adjustment here, and what I really like about this, it's now got the rack and pinion adjustment on it. It's got feet, stable feet, so it can be fixed down to a bench. We've got the crown guard there and the riving knife on the back. Now, one of the biggest bugbears on the R255 is the way that timber gets stuck in the cowl. And here you've got this canvas bag with the dust extraction on the back, much bigger dust extraction port than on the R255. And I'm going to suggest with the table and this support plate here and all the posts, there is much more metal involved in the construction of this saw than there is with the R255. And the dust extraction port's huge. Right, let's have a look what's in these other 2 boxes. Now I can see straight away there's a blade mounted in the saw, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. I have a feeling that Evolution have given me that, and that's not actually part of the saw kit. Now I think that this is the fence, some nice branding on the side of it. And then in this final box, I suspect will be, amongst other things, mitre guide. We've got a push stick, Slightly different construction to any other push stick I've ever owned. This is like a framed version. That's quite funky. And then we've got this. On the back of the saw there are a series of cable ties. Now I'm gonna stick my neck out here and guess that these cable ties aren't standard issue, but because it hasn't come in a marketing box, if you like, Evolution have just put it in a standard box, it will come with some more packaging when it becomes a commercial unit. So I'm guessing they've just put that in to hold it steady. So we've got, ooh, hey, that's really smooth. Look at that, that's a beast of a blade. We've got a little wheel there, that's nice. And then we've got the lock there. And then we've got those markings there, 0 to 45. And it does say on the end, if I can see right, it's a 1650 watt motor with a 3050 RPM, 240 volts. It takes a 255mm blade with a 25.4mm diameter bore. And in the UK, the office is in Sheffield, which is near where the small loft workshop were. And in France, it's in Bordeaux, which is near where I am now. What's the chances of that? With the blade extended, it's an absolute beast. That's a real big blade height. Don't know why I've still got my gloves on, by the way. We are looking at a total blade height there of about 86mm. That's a big cut. This throat plate here is metal. So that's actually really heavy duty. Compared to the Rage 5 throat plate, which was plastic. And actually, I unfortunately broke mine. My Rage 5 now has Evolution's zero insert plating, and I do know that Evolution are going to release a zero insert plate for this saw in the next coming months. The blade is at well below the height of the table, which in my mind was something that was lacking in the Rage 5. The blade just went below the level of the tabletop, and then when this built up with sawdust down here in the cowl, you couldn't properly retract the blade. So that looks like it's been addressed. I've got this off. You can see down here the mechanism for the... So to mount the riving knife, you put that on and then you push that lever down and that's mounted. That's nice. There is a couple of screws down here if you need to adjust the riving knife to the blade. And there is a lot of adjustability to this saw, because not only can you adjust the riving knife backwards and forwards, but under here there is also another lever that lets you adjust 1 degree either way, left or right, just so you can square everything up. Now I'm not going to do that today, play with the squareness of it another day, but it's there should you need it. My experience of the Rage 5 is it was perfect out of the box, so I'm expecting that this will be somewhere near as well. Right, let's lock that off. Let's put the crown guard on. So the crown guard has a couple of fixings on it, as the same fixing actually it's on the Rage 5. Goes into the back of the, and then a more secure fixing. More really the split pin rather than a fixing. So that just moves up and down as you push your timber underneath. We'll find that when we play with the cutting capability. Now my understanding is that this riving knife is adjustable, so you can leave it perfectly flat with the top of the blade. I don't think I can do that on this model. Specifically, this model isn't a production model. I think this is one that's been used in development, because there's certain bits of writing and ticks and things that says better there, and so I think this is a unit that's been used in the development of the saw rather than the saw that will go on sale very shortly. Let's have a look at the fence. Drop the fence on. So there's a couple of places to mount it. One there, one there. Evolution have gone for the rack and pinion. That's the lock for the fence. That's the adjustable for the fence. Let's set that for 100mm there. That would suggest that's exactly 100mm. Okay, so that's good. So with that point then I can wind that all the way out there to 550. Yep, 550. And actually once you're over the edge of the table, just give your cut some more support, then we can drop this rip fence down. It helps you support your material over the end. Because these graduated scales here are actually, you've got a black and a white, so for example that's 280 and then you've got 380 in black. It's just a case of moving that out to the black marks. So cutting right to its wide there, suggesting 650 millimeters, and measuring up to the blade would suggest 650 millimeters. There is some adjustment on these, so the scale here can be adjusted. So once you've made a couple of cuts, you can just tweak this scale here just to ensure that you're exactly on the money. Whilst we're on with fencing, my little niggle with the Rage 5 was that when you come to ripping cut with your crown guard on, you obviously can't get your fence near enough to the blade. So they gave you a little L-shaped piece of aluminium that just bolted on to the fence. I didn't like it. I mean, it worked perfectly, I just didn't like it. But these, with this, now we've just got, that turns over, we can sneak right under, up to the blade, while still keeping the crown guard in place. There's another feature I want to look at, and this is something I really liked on the Rage 5. This sliding carriage, there's probably a lock on there, it is the same lock as, turn that 90 degrees, lock it off, and we've got the sliding carriage. This was a feature I didn't realise the Rage 5 had, but once I found it, I had it. It was brilliant, I really, really liked it. Now you can put, of course, the tool that they give you in here, that in there, lock it off with that, move it to 90 degrees or move it to anywhere over to 60 degrees. Now what is interesting with this saw is the depth of this groove. A few weeks ago I tested this saw jig and it wouldn't go in the Rage 5, which was a bit disappointing. It will fit perfectly in here, so that means that third party parts will fit this saw. I just need to wind that grub screw in, but that fits perfectly on the Rage 5. This steel bar was sat about 3 or 4 mil, proud of the tabletop. Evolution have done a good job there listening to their customers and making sure that this table and the grooves in these tables actually fit. Yeah, that's really good. That actually means now that this is actually of some use to me. Good job, Evolution, there. Just lock that back in position. I think we've come across most of the features. Storage on the machine for all their parts, including the riving knife down here, which is a nice little holster in there. There's storage for the riving knife and the crown guard on the side. There's storage on the back for... Excellent. That means I'll never find that again because once it's in its proper place. So let's just talk about specs of the saws, because and I'm going to have to read this because there's far too much information for my mind to retain. So basically in the range there is 4 saws. All the saws are called R255, R255, and then there's some letters after it which denotes the type of saw. There's the TBL, which is the base saw, and then the TBLX, which is this saw. The difference between the two saws is this saw comes with a wheeled stand like the one I've got on my Rage 5. I understand it's exactly the same trolley that's there. Now notice with my trolley I put my handles on the other way so I can put timber on them when I'm cutting. I know it's not recommended, but that's what I did, and I do note that various forums people mentioning a bloke who's got his handles on the wrong way around. I assume they mean me. And I don't mind that. It works perfectly like that for me. And then the other 2 saws in the range are the TBL Plus and the TBLX Plus. Again, a little bit like this saw and the base model, they come with or without a trolley. The cut capacity is the same on all saws, both at 90 degrees and at 45 degrees. The table is slightly larger on the 2 higher end models. There's a little pull out at the back as to help you stabilise your timber as you're cutting through. So there's a couple of little features there on the higher end saws. The motor on the TBL and the TBLX, this one is 1650 watts. On the other 2 saws it's 1800 watts, so it's slightly higher. You've got another 150 watts. Now on my Rage 5, I'm going to have to go and look at this. Yeah, the Rage 5 is 1400 watts, so this is still quite a major upgrade to the Rage 5. The electric cable is slightly longer on the 2 high-end saws. It's a metre longer, 2 metres on this, 3 metres on the other 2 saws. The bore size, the blade size, all exactly the same. There's a few extra accessories on the higher end saw. With 2 higher end saws, the TBL Plus and the TBLX Plus, have got soft start, and I do know people have put soft start modules on their Rage 5. I've never done it. I'm not actually that interested. Them 2 saws have actually got a soft start on. They've also got a brake to slow it down gradually rather than so. The 2 higher saws have got the outfeed support on it, and also they've got a top clamp on the crosscut. They've got all the piping for the extraction system. So I'll put this little thing into the video, and then you can have a look. And also I'll put the links to the saw in the video. Now, at this moment in time I'm making this video, I don't 100% know when this is coming out to market. It's coming out soon, I know that, but I don't actually know the exact date that it's coming out. But sometime just straight after Easter is my understanding. And at present, I don't know what the recommended retail price is. So I think I paid $330 for the Rage 5. I'm going to assume this is going to be more. And then, of course, you're going to have a differential between the bottom model and the top model. I think looking at the saw here, it's certainly, and we've not turned it on yet, but looking at the saw here, it's a great piece of kit. It looks very solid. It's very sturdy. It's more sturdy than the Rage 5 because it's not as plasticky. Rage 5 is a little bit plasticky. So I think we're going to go and cut some material. But what I am going to do before I do that is I'm going to just fix this down to this box that it's stood on. I don't want it skating away while I'm cutting. The one thing I've really loved about the Rage 5 over the years is just pulling it out there in the garden and making my cuts out there. I think this might stay in here and actually be built into some larger workbench once I've developed this side of the workshop. So let me just fix it down to this box so it's not going. So it's got a much bigger outfeed to it than the Rage 5 has. The Rage 5 has a tiny little thing. Stand it over a bucket, just put a bucket in there. Now I do have other extraction, and I know dust extraction is a bit of a bone of contention for me. Nothing ever seems to fit, including this, it would seem. But I will have to revert back to my old tricks of making things fit. But we've got the 2 ports on there. I like to run 2 extractors anyway. So first of all, I guess we should just plug it in, turn it on, make sure it actually does work. I've got some electrics in the workshop, that makes it a bit easier. The blade that's in is Evolution standard multi blade. So you can cut steel and plastics and timber. I've always found them very good. Turn it on and make sure it works. Ooh. Well, that's very nice. To say that this saw isn't supposed to have soft start on it, that sounded like a soft start to me. Yeah, TBLX doesn't have soft start, but that did sound like soft start to me. Let's listen again, it sounded very nice. Well, soft start must be very soft then. Right, let's turn it down and put some inch material through. Put a fence on. Lock that off. Let 50 millimeters, let's say. There we go, 50 millimeters. There we got a bit of parquet floorboard, bit of good quality pine. That's more than 50 millimeters. So let me whip this out and have a very nice, like cutting through butter. So we've got it set at 50 millimeters, and that is 50 millimeters. Let me deploy my little rip fence. Of course, with this down, the graduated scales don't really make any sense, but let's just have a little go with that. Cutting a dream, and there doesn't feel like there's any drift, doesn't feel like it's wedging against the fence or trying to run away from the fence. So to me, that 1 degree right left is not required, certainly at the moment. Let's wind it up to its maximum cut, and let me see what I can find that I can cut that's 3 inch deep somewhere. You all right, Gracie? Beautiful. Now, did you hear that noise at the end? That's because I've just hit a screw head, because this is an old bit of wood. I would be really upset if I hit a screw head with that new wood blade, but this blade doesn't matter. They are very robust, these multi-material blades. This actually was in there. It's nice that the saw does cut multi-material, but of course that's down to the blade rather than the saw. But these Evolution multi-material blades are brilliant. So I cut through 70mm stock absolutely beautifully. Let's crank it over to 1 degree. Just move the little wheel round. I like this little wheel. Move it to 20 degrees. Lock it off. 20 degrees. Move that over to that. Let's have a look at cutting a little fillet like this. Absolutely no problem. What is really good about this is maybe it's because of that start-stop function, but when it's running it feels really smooth. The Rage 5 does feel a bit rattly. Put that back up to 0. I'll test to see whether it's cutting square later. There is plenty of adjustment. Again, just undo that. It's not actually adjusting the saw, it's just adjusting that red adjustment just to make sure it's cutting 90 degrees. Well, no matter how I cut this piece of tannalised pine, it's a lovely cut. I'm impressed with the cutting. What else can we cut? So I've got some melamine sheet here. It's actually what was left over from the wardrobe. It is 470mm long. So let's move this to say 400. Let's deploy as little. So we're looking for 400. We have got 3, I'm going to call that at 399.5, which means I just need to tweak my little guide by 1/2 mil. Perfectly cut on top, a little bit raggy on bottom. It is some cheap melamine, but that's salvageable. And for a blade that's just cut a screw, that's brilliant. So this unit so far is absolutely brilliant. I can't fault it. So this saw will now be the main saw in this small band workshop. So you'll be seeing a lot more of this saw over the coming months, and I suggest that you'll probably see some more videos about this very soon as I get to grips with it and just find out 100% how it works and what it does really well, maybe doesn't do really well. On today's unboxing first impression video, I think it's absolutely fantastic and will be an asset to this workshop, and I'm guessing most people's workshop. I've now got a very capable saw. If you've got any questions, drop me a line in the comments. Also in the description video, I'll put some links to this saw and the range as Evolution release it. As I understand it, Evolution is slowly starting to release information and put these saws on for sale just after Easter weekend. So if you click on the links in the descriptions below, you will keep up to date with Evolution's progress. And I hope when you buy one of these saws, you enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed the last hour or so playing with this. I'll see you later, guys. Bye.